Okay, so welcome everyone. We're glad to have you all joining us today to talk about the Professional Science Masters program. We're going to be talking about branding and marketing and characteristics of how affiliation and NPSMA membership can help. So just a few words about the Professional Science Masters degree. This is, there are over 300 of these programs now in existence. They are a blend of science and business and some professional skills. You see that at least half of the curriculum in a PSM program is STEM based. So it will be the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it's designed to prepare students for career options in business, government, and nonprofit organizations. The degree does have graduate level coursework, and it's typically in an emerging or interdisciplinary field. And there's some component of professional skills within the offering, the field that's being studied. So it's professional skills that may involve regulatory sciences in that particular area, so that the students and the graduates will understand what it takes to hit the ground running when they get their job. And so there's professional skills taught in the curriculum, as well as some experiential learning components that are part of the PSM. The graduates have this combination of technical and business knowledge, and they are highly valued by employers, and we have outstanding data of employment of the graduates from PSM programs. And it's we think that the PSM is the graduate degree of the future to assist in the development of the globally competitive economy. This is a graph that I don't expect that you can read the fine text here, but you can see this graph starting in 1997 and continuing through 2014. And it takes us from just a few programs that began with some Sloan Foundation funding very early on, and then it grew pretty rapidly at the turn of the century, and you see a continual growth. And the Sloan Foundation provided funding for the launch of many programs around the country. There was also some National Science Foundation funding in the U.S. That resulted in a big increase in the 2009 timeframe, and also a big effort by the Sloan Foundation to fund systems, university systems for example, the California state system, Florida, the SUNY system in New York. And as these programs began to develop a lot of PSM offerings, we saw the numbers increase dramatically. You can see that in 2014, we were up at 322 programs. And now, if you go to sciencemasters.com, there is a ticker that updates this number as programs are added, and we're now over 330 programs. So I want to say a little bit about the PSM office here in Claremont, California, which is where Carol and I are sitting right now at the Keck Graduate Institute. The PSM office inherited the role of managing the PSM affiliation and reaffiliation process. We inherited the guidelines and definitions from the Council of Graduate Schools. So the Council of Graduate Schools almost 3 years ago transferred this responsibility to the PSM office here in Claremont. So we manage the PSM affiliation process, and I'll describe a little more about that in a few minutes. We collect data and the reporting of enrollment and degrees and outcomes of PSM programs, and I'll show you some of the reports that are produced, which can provide useful data if you're trying to develop a program or wanting to compare the success of PSM programs to others. And then the third item there is to develop and manage the national and international branding, marketing, and support of the PSM initiative. There are a set of logos and sort of a style of the PSM. So this PSM logo is something that we expect that PSM programs, they use it in their marketing materials. And so there is an international marketing effort and we think that provides real value if you're to start a PSM, because students and educational leaders and policymakers can all recognize the professional science masters as an important educational movement. Just a few words here about academic program assessment or quality control in education. In the U.S., this is a little bit U.S.-centric, but I think in most any country you'll find some process of quality control that may map onto what's shown here. There are three aspects that can be performed of checking on the quality of your program. One is internal review. Most department chairs and deans routinely implement systems for internal review to make sure that the program is offering what it needs to, and you often then will have a periodic internal review of your program. External recognition is often performed by an entity, a nonprofit or a for-profit entity that gives you a seal of approval or some kind of a recognition of your program from the outside. And that can involve some kind of a review of the program to become part of that organization or part of that or certified by an external entity. Accreditation is the strictest and most onerous, perhaps, but also the most rigorous form of quality control in education. And we, again, with accreditation, there's often an entity that you would go to and apply, and that would be followed by site visits to check and understand the program in a lot of detail. And so these mechanisms are in place for academic programs. And I just wanted to emphasize that the PSM office is sort of in that second category. We do not do an accreditation. We do not visit a site to review in detail what happens on your campus. But there is a set of guidelines that we use, and we provide what's called affiliation. And the affiliation process, I'll describe a bit more. And that is all managed through an application process on sciencemasters.com. So here's the website. Encourage you all to visit this website and go through the application forms and the guidelines that are provided there. There are at least two reviewers for the initial review of any new PSM program, and there's an iteration. So we want to make sure and help you as you develop a new PSM program to make sure that it meets the guidelines that have been established, and also help you sequence whatever efforts are happening on your own campus in terms of getting approval through your administration and perhaps your state or your local government, your state government or national government, as the case may be. So we'll work with you to sequence that and to make sure that the application is timely and meets the guidelines. We will seek external consultation if there are any marginal issues or issues where the guidelines are questionable if they're being met or not for the PSM program that you've developed. And then a final determination is made and communicated. And we really want to make sure you understand this is a collaborative effort, and we want to help you attain affiliation status, and we'll work with you for up to 1 year for any one application that you have. So here are some of the benefits of PSM affiliation. The first is this sciencemasters.com listing of your program. We know that students go to this site, particularly we know a lot of international students use this site, but people all over the country will look at it, sciencemasters.com, and there's a listing of, there's a program locator listing there. so that you can look for programs geographically, but also by a taxonomy of different types of PSM programs that exist. So I encourage you to take a look at that. We provide support for communications, media, use of logos, and PR. And I'll show you some of the flyers and things that you can download from the site at any time. But we will also talk with you and work with you on those items, those matters. There's a comprehensive list of affiliated PSM programs, so you can take a look at the competitors in your field or your area. And there are a lot of resources and news, and as you can see, all the details about affiliation are on that site. There is also, I'd like to emphasize that there's a steering committee of national leaders, and we just had our annual meeting here yesterday in Claremont, and this is a group of dedicated educators and people from industry and the different stakeholders of PSM, the PSM movement. So there are industry representatives and alumni, and the steering committee helps provide direction in terms of where this movement is going and what the definition of a PSM really is. And we collect the outcomes and employment data that I mentioned, and there are a number of historical documents that you can utilize. So here is the trademark logos that are available for use, and we want to make sure that this is used to brand the program. And so we hope that all of you will, if you are affiliated, that you use these and communicate with our office to make sure that these are being used appropriately. So I've been mentioning guidelines quite a bit so far. These are a brief summary of the guidelines for PSM affiliation. In your particular region, you need to be an accredited organization. In the U.S., that means that there are these regional bodies that accredit institutions and programs. The second item there is that you should have program goals and learning outcomes that are specified. That's usually required for the regional accreditation to begin with. A master's program should meet the minimum credit requirement for a master's degree at your institution. So you shouldn't introduce the PSM as something less than a normal master's degree would be. The curriculum is at least 50% STEM and about 20% professional skills, but sometimes it's a lot more STEM or more professional skills. So there's some leeway there as to the balance between professional skills and STEM. But we do want it to be at least 50% STEM so that the science is a strong science component. There's disciplinary content in interdisciplinary science content, disciplinary science content, professional skills, and some experiential component. The experiential component typically involves working with employers in industry or government so that the students have an opportunity to really work in the environment that they're going to be working in when they graduate. We expect that you have a quality assurance mechanism on your campus to review this and make sure that your program improves over time and meets these guidelines. And one really important point is the advisory board. We expect that there is an employer advisory board that represents the employers who are going to be hiring your students, and that they provide input into the curriculum. So this is a bit unusual for some science programs to actually respond to industry, but that's what we really want to see, is that the graduates, if they're going to provide a big impact when they're employed, we want the program to be responsive to industry need. And finally, collection of annual data, and I'll share a bit more about that in just a minute. This is the definition of programs. We have standalone programs that if your curriculum doesn't share more than 50% with any other program that your campus offers, your institution offers, it's referred to as a standalone PSM program. If you have two programs that share more than 50%, but less than 75% of their curriculum, we would call that a cluster of programs, and a cluster of 2 or 3 or more, but each of them must share at least 50% with every one of the other ones within that cluster. The program with tracks would be if you share 75% of the curriculum with another program, then those would be considered tracks. Finally, if you go to sciencemasters.com, I want to emphasize there are other organizations, and Carol is going to talk about the National Professional Science Masters Association, and that website is npsma.org. There's also a very nice website that's psmmilestone.com that you can take a look at. You can see the cover page of some of the reports that are available on sciencemasters.com. So we have an enrollment and degrees survey, and then outcomes for PSM alumni for the most recent 3 years of graduates. And then on the right side of the presentation are a number of flyers that are available that you can download as PDFs to support to learn more about the effort, but then to support any communications that you might need. So with that, I'll hand it over to Carol.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, Jim. Good afternoon. I'm pleased to present some information about the National Professional Science Masters Association. First, a bit of an overview. The National Association is a membership organization. It has a fairly diverse membership base consisting of program directors and coordinators, faculty, administrators, some industry representatives, students and alumni, all of whom are united in that they support the PSM program initiative and program developments. The organization strives to cultivate partnerships with industry, with appropriate nonprofits, government agencies, economic development offices, all in the interest of advancing the PSM programs. Networking is a very important function of this membership organization, and networking among the members really has facilitated program development and improvement, and basically the distribution of best practices. I want to point out again, as Jim indicated, that the NPSMA is a separate entity. It predates the PSM National Office. Although the two organizations share many goals, especially in quality control and especially branding of the PSM degree, and the organizations collaborate actually through a formal MOU. And just one example, and I'll have a couple of other examples, is some of the NPSMA board members are actually members of the steering committee for the National PSM Office. And in addition to the annual meeting that was just held here, where we have a face-to-face meeting, we also have monthly phone calls to provide just discussion of where things are going and provide some consultation and advice to the national office. A little bit of background on the organization. This organization was founded in 2006, and as with most of what's gone on, most but not all of what's gone on in the PSM initiative, it had some seed money from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. The organization is governed by an elective board of directors. Any member in good standing can run for the board of directors. The organization hosts national conferences. Previous conferences have been held in Washington and Denver, Atlanta, Arlington, Virginia. The organization sponsors best practice workshops, and these are typically in various STEM fields. I've given some examples here: biotechnology, environment, math, data sciences, agriculture, and cybersecurity. And as with sciencemasters.com, the organization website, NPSMA.org, contains many helpful resources. The mission is basically to strengthen the PSM movement, and this is accomplished by engaging all the constituents that I mentioned on the previous slides. This also is involved in repurposing and reinvigorating the master's degree in STEM disciplines, and this does this through the unique PSM structure that Jim has already described, providing students with both advanced scientific and professional expertise to succeed in the job market. And as Jim indicated also, we have extensive data that shows that the graduates of these programs are very successful in obtaining employment and advancing in their careers. There are a number of services that are offered by this National PSM Association. As I mentioned before, we run national conferences. We run professional development workshops. There is a newsletter that's published periodically, and we encourage members to contribute to the newsletter. We will be providing webinars that supplement the workshops, and there are also consulting services available. There's a list on the website of individual consultants on various topics, and you can also contact any member of the board of directors or the NPSA administrator for advice and suggestions for consultations. The organization also has an advocacy role and has advocacy resources that are available to you. We have engaged an experienced government relations consultant who helps us make contacts and also monitors federal legislation relevant to the PSM movement, and also prepares talking points for you to use to visit either elected representatives or industry representatives. And this information is available, again, through the national organization. As I indicated, there are a variety of memberships that are available. There are institutional memberships, and a single academic institution pays a fee, dues of $2,000 per year. If your campus is a member of a system where there are multiple campuses who are members, then there's a discount of $500 per campus for multiple campuses. The individual dues are quite reasonable. They're $75. Also, PSM alumni, $75, and a student is $50. Now, there's, as I've indicated here, for individual members, for program directors, if there's a new program that has just been through National PSM Affiliation, there's a complimentary 1 year. The NPSMA provides a complimentary 1 year membership. So this is another example of where the two organizations collaborate. Also for PSM alumni and students, for if they have graduated or are enrolled in an institution that's an institutional member of the NPSMA, there's a first year complimentary membership. And I do want to point out that the institutional members are absolutely critical to the mission of the organization and actually help support the relatively reasonable dues for the individual members. Without our institutional members, we really couldn't survive and provide the array of services that we do both to institutions and to all our individual members. Some of the other advantages of the membership are that there are discounts on registration fees for conferences and workshops. And again, the membership provides access to all of the services that I had mentioned above. And again, please go to the organization website for more detailed information, membership applications, and an expanded version of some of the information that I've been able to give you this afternoon. One additional example of where the two organizations are collaborating is the rebate program for new institutional members. This is administered by the PSM National Office at the Keck Graduate Institute, again with funding has been provided for this program by the Sloan Foundation. And this is for new academic members that have been through been through affiliation, and new institutional members. And this year, this is the last year of this program, new institutional members are eligible for 25% reimbursement on the membership fees. And this is in effect until October 31st. And obviously this incentive program, this is full membership, so there are full membership benefits that would be associated even with the rebated dues. Jim also mentioned this, the website for the PSM milestone, and I just want to briefly comment a little bit more on this event. This was held about a year and a half ago, and the year 2013 marked both the 15th anniversary of the launch of the PSM degree initiative and also the development of the 300th PSM program. And there are now, Jim indicated there's a counter on the sciencemasters.com website, and the last time I looked at it, there were 334 PSM affiliated programs. This anniversary was recognized. We had a special event in Washington, D.C. at the Library of Congress, and it was, the event was supported by both NPSMA and the PSM Office. The event was sponsored by two members of Congress who have been very supportive of the PSM initiative. They were Congressman Richard Hanna from New York and Congressman Rush Holt from New Jersey. Many of you probably know, since Rush Holt is a PhD physicist, many of you may know that he has declined to run for Congress again. But since he was available, he was then appointed the chief executive officer of the Association for the Advancement, American Association for the Advancement of Science. And I wanted to comment particularly about Rush Holt because he will be a speaker at the next NPSMA National Conference in November. And as Jim indicated also, there's a lot of good information on the Milestone website. All the presentations, there are videos of all the presentations, and there are also some additional PSM resources. So in conclusion, I did want to provide more information about the National Conference. It will be this November in Arlington, Virginia, so it also gives you the opportunity to visit Washington, D.C. It's November 12th through 13th. And also note that there is a pre-meeting workshop in association with the National Conference on finding opportunities for your students, employment opportunities in industry and government. And in working on this pre-meeting workshop, we anticipate that there will be an excellent array of speakers from the government agencies in DC. So I thank you very much, and we can now open this up for questions. Please use the chat box to submit your questions.
How are we helping the student network better?
How are we helping students network better? So one of the things that every PSM program does is provide those opportunities for the experiential learning. And so a PSM program itself has this networking opportunity for students. We also have, as Carol mentioned, students who will be members and attend the annual meetings. So there's a mechanism there for students to do networking. We will work with a program to help it to give examples of ways that our individual programs provide networking for students. But it's really, we expect the programs to work closely with their advisory board to identify the mechanisms that their PSM program will use. They can be team projects that are sponsored by industry for capstone projects on your campus within your program, internship opportunities, and there can be, typically the advisory board will be involved in reviewing capstone projects or professional skills projects that are done in your programs. So that's, Carol, do you have anything to add?
Just a little bit. As Jim just mentioned, we always have some programming that's appropriate for students at the annual conference. We have an alumni member of the board who's very interested in providing advice and networking opportunities for students. He gave an excellent session last year on preparing for interviews and preparing to advance in your career. So we do provide some national level networking opportunities through the NPSMA. The organization also has been working on helping programs develop alumni chapters and then networking the alumni chapters, but that's still a work in progress. And I don't know if Joaquin or Saeed have anything they want to add from their individual programs experience.
Yeah, actually, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to add that this is a great opportunity for program directors and coordinators to help promote networking. We have in the past, and it's still open, a project to grow alumni chapters. And we are looking for people who want to help us grow that idea. Right now, individual members, alumni and students, they can find others through our through our website, the npsma.org. But we are still growing that idea. We've tried a few things, and they have worked, and but they need to grow. We need to go further.
Next question.
Are the PowerPoints going to be shared?
The PowerPoints, oh, yes. We're recording, right? The session has been recorded.
Unmute.
Yeah. Yeah, this webinar was being recorded, and so we will send out to all the participants as well as the people on our waiting list information about how to access the recording following this session.
What kind of reports are available with respect to enrollment of the PSM program?
Yeah, there was a question about the reports that are available with enrollment reports. There are a number of reports spanning about the past, 3 or 4 years, I guess. This was started by the Council of Graduate Schools, and now, as Jim indicated, has been picked up by the PSM office here at the Keck Graduate Institute. These reports are available through the sciencemasters.com website, so you can access these reports, and they actually show a very substantial growth across this period of time, both in the number of programs and in the number of students enrolled and the graduates. And they also contain a breakdown of the demographics of the students. And there is, it's one of the many good news areas, I think, of the PSM, in that the demographics look very favorable as far as participation of underrepresented minorities, but especially participation of women. You'll see a higher proportion of women in the PSM programs than you would see in, for example, PhD programs in similar fields. But these reports are all available, and the most recent report actually is a student outcomes report, which I think you'll also find very interesting.
Do you have data about how many of the PSM programs are accredited? Are online PSM programs accredited?
There's a question about online PSM programs. There are a number of online PSM programs. The University of Maryland University College, for example, has a number of PSM programs that are online. Illinois Institute of Technology. There are a few other programs. There are some that are delivered in a hybrid mode. I think still the majority of the PSM programs are more traditional programs, but there are a number of PSM programs that are online, and yes, they are affiliated. They submit applications just like all the other programs, and you can certainly meet the guidelines through online programs. Anything you want to add? No.
No.
No. What is the most important thing to do to promote a new program?
There was a question about the important things to do to promote a new program. I'm not sure. Whoever submitted this question, could you clarify, promote it internally in your institution, in development, promote it to students, or promote it to employers? Because there are different strategies. Until I get a clarification, What I can say is both the NPSMA website and Science Masters website does provide resources, and the Science Masters website in particular talks about resources for faculty, which you can use, more internal promotion, resources for employers that you can direct to the employment sector, and resources for policymakers.
To promote not only the program, promote the program to new potential students.
We'll talk about science, promoting through Science Masters.
So sciencemasters.com will list your program when it's an affiliated program, and then students logging into sciencemasters.com, looking within the discipline, can search for all programs within a particular area. So if it's data analytics, they can look at all the data analytics programs that are there. If it's biotechnology, they can look for all the biotechnology programs. So we know that students will use sciencemasters.com, but in terms of promotion, you also will undoubtedly want to generate your own web page for your program and on your campus. And with that, if you use the Science Masters, the PSM logo, and you refer to it as a professional Science Masters, we can show you examples of many programs and sort of best practices of how to promote your program through your website and other means.
Yeah, and that's one of the areas where it's coming to the national conference is very useful, because you can get ideas from other people that have had good successes. And I don't know, probably Joaquin or Saeed, you're in the business of promoting your programs. You want to add?
Sure, I could add a few words to what we've done recently. Maybe the echo can be turned on. Is it okay? Okay. Recently, since we have an advisory board and we have faculty that is working together from the college and then businesses, what we've done a few times, and actually what we did just 2 weeks ago, we put together a mini conference. And it was really, really successful. We had almost 60 people attending. The businesses, they contributed with funds to pay for lunch. And so businesses, they talked about the problems they are bringing to the classroom. The faculty talked about the curriculum. And it was really an exciting day. After the conference, actually, literally, a lot of students really were excited about the program, and they've been in touch with me. So, if you already have an advisory board, then bringing them to campus doing activities, it can be a great opportunity. And if you don't have, this is a good opportunity to create them and to listen to what they need, so that our students have the preparation that's needed to later on do the internships and do well in the workplace.
Mentioned using social media and to promote on your own campus, visiting classes to talk about the PSM and explain how it's different from the more traditional programs.
Next question. They say we find that the website and social media help draw in students. We also host workshop, basic classes.
Yeah, no, I can read that. There's a question. Someone has a question about programs in physics. Again, if you if you're looking for individual subject matter programs, again, the sciencemasters.com website is probably the most useful resource, because you can look at programs by subject, and you can find other programs within sort of the general physical science area and chemistry. So they're all cross-listed by field. So that's a good resource for finding what other programs are doing. There are links on Science Masters to the websites for all those programs, so you can see how they're advertising themselves, at least through their websites.
Any other questions? We still have plenty of time, and we can see the questions as they come in through the chat.
There are also, for programs that affiliate the national office can provide some brochures and information that you can use if you want some printed material. Again, that's all available through Science Masters, through the national office. And of course, you can download, both organizations have information on their websites that you can download and use.
No, this is Saeed. Can you hear me good now? Because at the beginning, when I started talking, no one could hear me. And my apology to everyone for that. But I do not know if they are still able to hear me or not. If they are, I will say something. If not, again, accept my apology.
We can hear you breaking up just a little bit, Saeed, but yes, if you've got some information for the participants, that would be good.
But please let me know if it does not work. I quit talking. As I said at the beginning, I do not know if you heard me or not. Here at Middle Tennessee State University, we have a PSM program with 6 concentrations: healthcare informatics, biotechnology, biostatistics, actuarial science, geosciences, and our latest one, engineering management. We are graduating about 60 to 80 per year, and our students have to do solid 250-hour internship in one semester in a company. It is not required to be paid, but most companies pay them. 85% of them get a job offer at the place of the industry. They do internship. Their salary almost double up from a Bachelor of Science degree going to work or with this master's degree. Our state of Tennessee love this PSM program because we are giving a lot to the industry workforce as they need it. Another thing about advisory board is that is my recommendation. When I created ours 10 years ago, I look at the within 300-mile radius, what industry is there. I invited to our campus, and they told us what major do they want. So what we created at our university, it was based off those industries' needs, and that helped us a lot. They take our students for the internship. They support us any way they could, and has been a win-win situation for all. Because this, as I said, each major it was based on the need of our state, and that helps a lot to recruit and job market. Thank you.
Spread the net pretty far and looking at people, employers for internships. Joaquin, do you have any advice for people on obtaining internships for your students?
Yes, thank you. We created our programs as a response to needs in the area, which happen to be also needs in other places. So because of the way we built our programs, it has been relatively easy to find internships for them. And we've also contacted a lot graduates from our college that have gone on to have businesses, and there has been a great opportunity for them to give back to their college. So it is a design issue. If the PSM is not designed as a response to needs in the community, it is hard to find internships. We've had internships even for international students, which you may be aware is even harder to find internships for them. So, and also one more thing, we constantly update our curriculum. The first program we created is 5 years old, and we started by writing from scratch 18 new courses with the support of partners, business partners, and most of the courses have been rewritten by now to adjust to the needs, including changing the software that is being used. And we've been very, very responsive to the needs of the community.
So I Thank you, Joaquin. I wanted to follow up with a couple of words about internships and the challenge of getting internships for the students. This is always a struggle, even if you have a strong advisory board of employers and you are responding to needs, it can still be a struggle to make sure that every single student satisfies their internship requirements or their experiential learning requirements. One thing I would suggest is that on your own campuses, you partner with staff in the appropriate area and try to find some partnerships on your campus. There is often, the career services office on the campus. And if you can build a relationship with the career services people who have some relationship with those industries that you're involved with, that can really help. It's difficult to put the responsibility on a faculty program director to do all of this work. Many places do that, and it can make the faculty director role really difficult because you're trying to teach and do your research and all of those things at once. And then to build relationships with industry at the same time can be a real challenge. But if you can travel it with a partner from your campus to visit local companies or visit the sponsoring companies and kind of lay the groundwork for some internship opportunities, that can really help.
I agree with you, and we do all of those at Middle Tennessee State University, but also we get lots of students which they are already working in the industry, and they want to come and get a PSM degree. So they will say, why should we do internship? Well, we will tell them they have to do internship. Their internship has to be related to the coursework and the business coursework all together. And if they are working in a company, they should pick a project which is not their everyday job. They can do that project within the hours they work, or they could stay extra hour to do it. But it cannot be their everyday job. And once they achieve that project, then that is their internship. And internship is something that here faculties have to approve. We have an internship faculty which goes to the company and visit them, and it has to be related to the coursework and the plus courses they take.
This question on there's a question about business classes, both how they're organized within programs and whether the STEM students struggle. There are a variety of models for how the business courses are integrated into PSM programs, and I'll let Jim talk about his experience as well. In some cases, quite a few cases, students just go into the MBA courses in the business school. The PSM programs, the science departments have a collaboration with the business school. In some cases, the business faculty have tailored programs specifically to the PSM students, and in other cases, the STEM and the business components are integrated in many of the classes together. In terms of the STEM students struggling, what we've found out, and I heard some examples of this when I attended some of the meetings in the SUNY system that Joaquin talked about. Initially, in many cases, the business faculty were reluctant to allow students that hadn't had a business undergrad or business prerequisites into their programs, but almost universally, they find out with the experience, if they can be talked into letting the students in, that the science students outperform the business students. So that turns out to not be a problem. I'll let Jim talk a little bit about a more integrated approach and his experience with that.
So yes, at KGI, we've designed the courses to have integrated business and science content within almost every course. I think accounting is probably the only one that has very little of science content, but strategy, business strategy, finance, even the finance and corporate valuation in the life sciences industry is taught sort of specifically for that environment. And so we really try to integrate our STEM content with our business and our clinical and regulatory affairs content as well. In the life sciences, you certainly need that regulatory component to be integrated. And in environmental sciences, you want to often integrate the regulatory sciences around the environmental sciences. So it's an integrated approach is nice if you can manage that, but sometimes at campuses it's the easiest way to get started is to offer your MBA courses through the business school, as Carol mentioned. I wanted to mention that there's another question here about marketing campaigns that we have going on. So it says what marketing campaigns are being utilized by NPSMA to promote sciencemasters.com. So I want to just spend a minute talking about the distinction here. As I mentioned in my talk, there are sort of three web pages that you can go to. There's sciencemasters.com, there's the NPSMA.org, and there's the milestones, PSMmilestones.com. These have been developed at different times by different organizations, and so sometimes they're not cross-referenced very well. What we are intending to do between NPSMA and the PSM office is to coordinate all three websites in a way that the branding is sort of uniform, and that way the marketing efforts that we put forth all come to a common landing page. And we're hoping to do this in the next year. Right now, I encourage you to visit all three websites and glean what you can from each. The affiliation and quality control aspects are at sciencemasters.com. The official listings are at sciencemasters.com. But NPSMA.org lists all the events and that you can go to. And so the webinar today and the annual meeting that's coming up in November. So the membership organization activity, I'd encourage you to go to NPSMA.org.
Last question from Mark.
Not a question, it's a comment.
Mark says, we're looking at multiple entry points to the program, taking short courses, take a regular course to do the graduate certificate or full-blown PSM. This is really a great piece of advice for new programs, is that it's not just one website that you advertise your program through. You don't rely on sciencemasters.com. You don't rely just on your own. But if you can have different ways of attracting students into the program, and I know a lot of PSM programs have done that. We've done it at KGI by offering a post-baccalaureate pre-medical certificate. So we get students here who want to be medical doctors. They haven't given up their dreams from their pre-med days as an undergrad from becoming a medical doctor, but they enroll in this certificate, and then they find their way into the PSM program after they've taken some of the science curriculum.
It's 4 o'clock.
Thank you. We really should wrap up. Joaquin, do you have any closing words?
This has been a great presentation, set of presentation. I hear my. Can you turn off the echo? Okay, good. Yeah, I wanted to say that we can continue some of these discussions offline. If you go to the NPSMA, you can find the direction how to find us, and we will definitely answer some more questions as we hear from you. And basically, apologies again for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but this will all be in the recording will be fixed, I hope. And we will then hope to see you at the national conference in November 12 and 13, 2015 in Washington. And I think it was great. There were very good questions, and we need to follow up on this.
Thank you all.